Hello there, I'm Rosewish. I'll be reading a podfic by valiantlybold. The podfic name is Son of Hood, and there are no archive warnings applied to this story. The fandoms are Danny Phantom and Batman's All Media. The relationships Danny Phantom and Jason Todd. And this is part 1 of the series of The Adventures of Danny Wayne. Okay, so the summary of this story is Nasty Burger. It's always fucking Nasty Burger, isn't it? Danny needs time, he needs space, he just wants a break from everything. Ghost and Clockwork is always there to help him. Nasty Burger, it's always fucking Nasty Burger, isn't it? Mom, Dad, Jazz, Sam, Tucker, and God knows how many other innocent people caught at the wrong place at the wrong time, all gone in a split second. Danny is so fucking tired, he's just tired. Vlad is apparently the legal appointed guardian for him. Danny is moved to be under his care after spending a few days with a social worker. Well, the documents get sorted. It's not as bad as it could be. Vlad seems to have really loved Maddie. After it's like he shuts down. Maybe Maddie was his obsession. Who knows? Danny and Vlad live in the same house, but they don't talk. Danny goes to school. Vlad stays home and drinks. Danny can't keep going like this. He can't live like this, suffocated by his loss. It's eating him up. He's on a slippery slope to becoming Dan, and it scares him. So he forms a plan. Vlad is broken, too broken enough to agree. They set it all up. Together they shut down and dismantle the portal at Phantom Works. They destroy all the inventions and weapons and shit and erase any trace of it ever existing. Destroying his parents' life work is painful. It hurts. Danny's core aches so bad he fears it might just shatter. He knows it's for the best, though, and he clings to that desperately. Vlad does the same to Vlad. Chops it up and sells it for parts, donates all his money to the town and to loads of good causes around the world. Danny issues a command to all his subjects by the power and authority of the High King of Ghosts. All ento entities in this dimension are to return to the infinity realms immediately. No ecto-entity may ever enter this dimension again. This dimension will never again be graced by the presence of a subject of the reigning High King of Ghosts. Basically, Danny lines the dimension with electric fences and barbed wires and slaps it with a keep out sign. Maybe in 1,000 years, those guys in white will have pulled their heads out of their asses. Then finally the Halfas put their heads together and deals with Vlad's portal. With what they learned from setting the Phantom's portal, they can safely set it to shut down and self-destruct after they pass through it. They watch from the other side as the portal closes. It's a good feeling. It will protect both sides, the living and the unliving. Danny and Vlad sign the servitude contract prepared by the Court of the King. With this very essence in service to Danny, Vlad is named suitor to the king and given the authority to act in his stead. With the wording of contract, Vlad will be physically incapable of knowingly causing harm to the realms, at the risk of having his own court erased as punishment. Vlad has some distaste for the arrangement, but he still agreed. Danny figures he, like Danny himself, is trying to find a way to unlive on, even with his obsession unfulfilled. Maybe taking care of the realms and her denizens can become Vlad's new obsession. Maybe he's just doing it because Danny is part of his obsession, and doing this is another way to fulfill it somehow. Last of all, Danny visits Clockworks. No, I must ask, are you truly certain about this? Asked the old grandfather clock. Danny can only sigh. I need time, clock. If I take the throne now, I don't know how long I can resist before turning into pariah dart. Or worse, Dan. I'll be back one day, but right now, I just need time. I want to have a childhood, clock. I want to live in a house where people know I exist. I love my parents, and I always will, but that doesn't mean I can't miss the childhood that they took from me with their negligence. I want to have a chance to be human, live human, before I commit to my eternity here. Is that really too much to ask for? The little boy rests his hand on Danny's shoulder. Of course not. You are as much human as you are ghost. Part of being human is living. That's all. No one can blame you for wishing for what is in your nature. Very well, Danny. It will be done. Luckily, I think I know just where to send you, dear one. For the first time in months, Danny smiles. Finding oneself in a strange new dimension might be unsettling to most, if one did not request to be moved to another dimension, that is. For Danny, it seems like a Tuesday. First of all, he looks down at himself and takes stock. Okay, he's a lot smaller than he was before. Clockwork headed his plea for a childhood then, and kick-started his shape-shifting ability for him. By size, he might be anywhere from 6 to 10, but making a guess is difficult. He was always on a smaller side of the scale. Shirt, pants, little visco sneakers, a sweater, and a small backpack. In the bag, Danny finds a handful of energy bars, 2 bottles of water, and a thin wad of cash. Dollars. They look almost as he remembers them. A quick count determines he has 50 whole dollars to his name. He stucks a 5s in his pocket and then folds up the rest and goes intangible for a minute to hide them in his thigh. He also finds a folder contracting the birth certificate and medical records for one Daniel James Nightingale. He listed as something called a metahuman, which is a term he's never heard before. At least the paper goes on to explain that him being a meta is what causes his decreased heart rate and body temperature and so on, because that saves him from making up excuses on his own. Plus, with his birth certificate handy, he'll be able to figure out his age as soon as he knows the current date. At the very bottom of his bag, Danny finds a note. My king, I have turned back time inflicted on your mortal vessel. You retain your memories and your powers, but you are again a child. Be careful, Danny. Your youth will make things easier in some ways and harder in others. Call for me when you are ready, and I will come. Stay in the city, and family will find you. Clockworks. After reading the note, it goes up in toxic green ectoflames, regarded to ash in a flash. Right, good old Clockworks. Suppose Danny isn't really new to figuring out new and awkward changes to his body. Ugh. He's not looking forward to going through puberty again, but at least he'll have a few years to prepare, right? Danny swings his backpack onto his back, then starts his exploring. He can only assume it's going to take a minute for this family of his to find him, so until then he's on his own. Then again, that's nothing new either, is it? He scuffles out of the piss-stinking alley he's entered into the world in. The street outside is quiet, no real traffic. Most of the apartments in the surrounding buildings dark for the night. There is an ever-present hum of a big city in the air, but the streets look otherwise mostly deserted. It must be late. The sky overhead is overcast with thick, dark clouds. Danny picks a direction and starts walking, for on the to-do list is find shelter. Those clouds spell rain, and Danny would rather avoid getting soaked to the bone, especially since he doesn't have any extra clothes. Looking around, the neighborhood appears freaky, run down, shattered windows, boarded up, graffiti scrawled on every visible surface, litter all around the curb and road. Half of the streetlights are out, and the other half lit. Buildings have a dated age about them. Danny wouldn't be surprised to find a handful of abandoned buildings around these parts, which means that it shouldn't be all too difficult to find shelter for at least a few nights. "Hey kid!" Danny stops. A scantily dressed woman hurries across the street, heels clacking loudly on the hard asphalt. She throws down her cigarette and stops on it before reaching him. When she approaches him, she stops a few feet away, like she's trying to let him have his space. "Hey kid," she says, offering a smile, and pulls her flex fur jacket tight around herself. Danny isn't sure how the jacket is going to help when her dress is so short it barely covers her hips. You know, little kids really shouldn't be out and about on their own this late. Gotham ain't safe like that. Gotham. Danny makes note of the name. "Nowhere to go," he tells her. The girl nods. "I got it. Been there, done that, you know? But kid, I can't just let you go. You gotta know that anything could happen. You could get real hurt out there on your own. But if you let me, I can call Red Hood for you. He can help you out. Get somewhere safe. He's a good guy like that. Looks out for all of us." Red Hood. Obviously, Danny doesn't recognize the name. He'll admit it sounds like what one of Danny Rogues might call himself. It's no weirder than Skulker, Frost Knight, Johnny 13, and so on. The way this lady talks about him, though, makes him sound more like what Danny was, a vigilante, maybe even a hero. The girl sighs, misinterpreting Danny's signs for distrust. She tugs the bottom of her dress lower, then sinks into a crotch, which makes her only just above Danny's eye level. "Look, kids, Hood's, well, he's not always the good guy, but he's a good guy. He watches out for all of us here. That includes you. And I mean, even Batman trusts him enough to work with him, so he can't be that bad, right? Batman, another vigilante hero? If you let me call Hood, he'll get you somewhere safe. He'll get you some food, and if you ask him, he'll probably even get you in contact with someone who can take care of you in a long term. If you don't, he'll at least show you to one of the good homeless shelters. It's all up to you. All you gotta do is ask him. That's what he does. He helps." Well, she obviously trusts this guy. Not that that counts for much in Danny's situation, but can't hurt, right? Even if he turns out to be a Fruit Loop, Danny can go ghost and leave him in the dust. Maybe even beat him up and make sure he won't be able to hurt anyone else. Danny did sort of promise himself he wouldn't do any hero shit in this life. This is supposed to be his one chance at something that's at least close to normal. But he will allow himself a small exclusion to this if Red Hood does turn out to be a creep. Okay, can you Can you call him? Danny requests. The girl smiles. She digs her messy nails into her small purse and pulls out a flip phone, which she shortly puts to her ear. After a minute, the call appears to go through. Hey Hood, it's Cherry. I'm right near my usual corner, and I got a kid with me, though. Yeah, found him walking around alone. Looks about 6 or 7. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll stay with him till you get here. Alright, see ya. She ends the call and drops the phone back in her purse, smiling at Danny again. There. He said he'll be here just in a couple minutes. Danny nods. Okay, your name's Cherry? She grins, shrugging. Nah, but that's what everyone calls me. How about you? What's your name? Danny. Nice name. How are you? Are you hurt anywhere? Are you cold? You can borrow my jacket for a little bit. If you are, I don't mind. The boy shakes his head. Nah, I don't mind the cold much, and I'm okay. I'm not hurt or nothing. Just alone, you know? Cherry hugs her knees. Yeah, I get that. Being alone kind of sucks sometimes, doesn't it? Danny nods to that. Yeah, it's nice sometimes, taking a break from people, but sometimes... Yeah, I know, but don't worry. We're not alone right now, are we? You and me are together, and Hood's going to be here in a minute, too. Not alone, right? Well, guess that's a fair point. Guess so. Are you going to be okay after I leave with Hood? The woman smiles, grows. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Danny. But don't worry, okay? I'm going straight home after this, and I'll be with my roommates, so I won't be alone either, I promise. A motorcycle revs loudly, the noise reverberating through the narrow streets and bouncing back and forth between the buildings. Cherry stands up quickly. She steps over the edge of the curb and waves her hand out, flagging down the rider. The bike slides to a stop right on the curb where she stands. Red Hood is definitely a name, Danny decides. Red Hood is definitely a name. Danny decides. What with the big red helmet and all. The man is tall and looks like he's built like a tank, all wide shoulders and boxer fit. But he slides off the bike almost gracefully. He and Cherry shares a short embrace, during which she thanks him for coming before they both come over to where Danny stands. Hood crouches down just like Cherry did, but he's quite a bit above Danny's eye level. Even then, he must be super tall. Hey kid, he says, the voice coming out weird and modulated through the helmet. I'm Red Hood. Cherry said you might need some help. Danny's face has scrunched up in a grimace. You're stinky. The helmet stares blankly at him. Cherry snorts behind her hand. It's true though, it's not necessarily bad stinky, just stinky. He smells almost like ectoplasm, but off, given how burden of ectoplasm this dimension seems to be. So, fair. The difference in Hood's scent is like a floodlight pointed straight at him. As for ectoplasm in general, Danny is thankful he can still feel the turn of the crown and ring on himself, though hidden from all sights in his human form. Without him, he'll probably end up starved of ectoplasm before long, because, as mentioned, this stupid dimension seems like it's in a damn drought. Hood sighs. The noise comes out almost as a whistle, though. The helmet magnifies. Right, how about this, kid? You tell me your name, then we'll head down the block and get you some pancakes at the diner. Huh. I don't know about you, but I could sure do with something to eat right now. Pancakes do sound good. At least those ones won't try to eat him in return, hopefully. Okay, I'm Danny. Hood offers out his gloved hands. Good to meet you. The boy places his own foreign little hand in Hood's glove and gives it a shake. Alright then, Danny. Let's go get some pancakes, huh? You wanna come along, Cherry? The girl shakes her head. Nah, I'd be... I can hear my bed calling my name, thanks, though. And you take care of yourself, Danny, okay? See you around. She waves at him both. She waves at them both for a minute as she walks away, but when Hood stands, Danny focuses on him again. Come on, you can sit on the bike while I lead it. That sounds pretty cool, huh? Danny probably shouldn't bring up the time he may have accidentally borrowed Johnny's bike. He follows Hood back over to the bike where the vigilante lifts him onto the seat. Danny steadies himself with hands on the gas tank in front of the street while Hood lifts the kickstand and begins to guide the bike up onto the curb to keep the street clear of any possible. And again, that was chapter 1 out of 2 chapters, part 1 out of the series. Again, thank you for letting me podfic your story. It was such a great honor. And I love this little series. It's so amazing. I always go back to read it at least every couple weeks because I just love the concept. Though a side note of mine to the audience is I'm dyslexic, so some of the time while I'm reading there will be pauses and words mispronounced, which I am sorry, and I hope to get better at being able to podfic as time goes on. And with editing my videos, it will take a while to have me upload, so it won't be like weekly uploads. Get a couple each month, maybe 2 out each month. Of course, because it's so late in the month, there won't be 2 this month, but hopefully in the future there will be. But yeah, you have a great rest of your day, night, or wherever you are.